right, I hope that heavier piece didn't put anybody off listening to the show. So hope you enjoyed it. It's I'm a big fan of John O'Bacon and his band Severed Fifth. So that sort of the open war track fits into the same type of genre. Hope you enjoyed it, and the links will be in the show notes to that band and other works by them. Roy or Gordon, hopefully you've got another piece of news which you'd like to throw out there and we can discuss.
Right, okay. We've got this little company called Sony who have been in the news for one or two things, and I am not a lawyer. I mean, I read sites like Grok Law, but a lot of it, when you're reading like court transcripts, a lot of it's heavily legalese, and it's very, very difficult to keep track of different conversations. But basically, I dented. I wonder if hypocrisy is part of the corporate training for lawyers and for company executives. And the reason for that is Sony. I mean, a lot of companies, in different cases, they'll try to claim different things. Now, in this particular case, we're talking about two different lawsuits that Sony are involved in. On one side, they are the people suing a guy called Holtz for basically hacking the PS3 to make it capable of playing homebrew content and illegal copied games and things like that. And Sony are suing him, and they're claiming all sorts of jurisdictions. Holtz is based in New York. They're suing him in California, and they're saying that it's perfectly logical to expect him to travel all the way across the states to defend himself. They're claiming all sorts of rights as the copyright holder to get into the roots of his hard drive and investigate all sorts of links and any content that he has on his hard drive, and they're perfectly entitled to that during discovery. And of course, Holtz is fighting back. And the other lawsuit they're involved in is a while back, Sony sold PS3s with the ability to install Linux on them. And later on, they'd basically changed their mind after a lot of people bought them, including the military for clusters, because it was a cheap cell cluster thing, powerful computers. They removed that functionality, and they put an update on, and so people could not install Linux anymore. And they claimed it was because of the ability to hack and the ability to break Sony's intellectual property. I love these two words, intellectual property. So there was a while later, there was a class action lawsuit against Sony, where they were the defendants, by people who wanted to install Linux, and they basically took exception to Sony removing that option from them. And when those lawyers are questioned, when Sony are on the defensive, on the defence side of that case, they're saying, "Oh, look, it's actually, we are Sony Entertainment America, not Sony Entertainment International. It's Sony Entertainment International who made all these decisions, and we can't get access to these documents." And they're basically trying to shift the sands and say that we are a different company and all that, and it's totally different and not connected, and it's just, we used to be connected, no longer, and they have no jurisdiction to see documents from Sony Computer Entertainment International, and blah, blah, blah. They're trying to cut themselves off from having to give any evidence that may damn them. But in the Holtz case, one of the Holtz's lawyers said, look, the actual Sony Computer Entertainment America that are suing Holtz and trying to get to his little, they allege is his little group of hacker buddies and whatever. And then one of his lawyers said, hang on a minute, all of the copyrights around the games and around the PlayStation itself and the trademarks say on it, they are the property of Sony Computer Entertainment International. So Sony Computer Entertainment America aren't even the same company, and you're taking them to court. So surely, if there's an infringement, you're not even the copyright holders. You're not even the trademark holders. It should be the Sony Computer Entertainment International that take Hawks to court. And they said, oh no, we're part of the same company, that we've got every right to take you to court. So basically they're claiming a really close, tight-knit connection when they're suing Hawks, and that they're entitled to everything that they want from his hard drive and whatever. And then in the other court case where they're being sued, they're saying, oh no, we're a totally different company, nothing to do with us.
Yeah, I mean,
and no jurisdiction, blah blah blah. You know, it's crazy. It's hypocrisy.
I think, I mean, the problem I have with all this, and I've been a PlayStation 3 owner for quite some time, when they removed Linux, or the option to install Linux as citing security reasons and hacking the console, I swallowed it at the time. It wasn't particularly good news. I wasn't particularly impressed or had the need for running Linux through my PS3, so it wasn't a hardship particularly for me. And having said that, when the PS3 was hacked anyway, then surely for me that means that Linux can go back on now, because it's really shutting the barn door after the horse is bolted. I've always supported or championed Sony products. I think they are very decent, well-built products, although I don't champion the company. And the hypocrisy which Sony has in respect of Linux as well. I mean, when they removed it from the PS3, they're very happy recently to make a phone which is running Android and is a PSP as well. They seem very happy to have a relationship there with Linux when they can make some more money. But then when it's adding a feature which they had previously on an older version of their PS3 console, it seems they're a bit reticent. The other question I had, Gordon, and I'm no lawyer, so I can't really grasp how this would affect the case, but if you cast your mind back a few months, I think it was somebody out of Devilment got one of the Sony bots on Twitter to retweet the rootkey hack. Now, I wondered at the time, does this affect the case against HOTS? Because if they're claiming some sort of damage has been done to their product and their intellectual property, in inverted commas, then surely by them retweeting to millions and millions of people that read the tweets and having it subsequently retweeted, surely that would take some of the sting out of any sort of case against HOTS. I didn't know what you thought.
I think it's a bit different from the way you put it. It doesn't actually put a trace to the person who tweeted the thing. The only way that's been mentioned it can actually affect the case is if you can say, and you can make the argument that leaking out the key and passing it around is the type of thing that's really unstoppable. There was an attempt back in the days with one of the keys being leaked into sites like Dig or Slashdot, and the companies were trying to remove this key, and of course it just led to a sort of a Barbra Streisand effect, and people were just tweeting and posting and submitting more and more of the same copy of the same code, which usually fits just inside something like a tweet, and or just the page title of some page. So here, the only way it actually affects the case is if they try to say, well, look, everyone can tweet this type of thing, and to try and withhold access to this information is ridiculous, because it's just a code. It's just a really short code. And even you guys tweeted this by accident. It just shows how completely ridiculous the notion of this kind of a war on the code, or kind of like the war on drugs, is just completely elusive. That's the only way it really affects the case.
I mean, I wouldn't think it would make any difference to the case, other than Sony making the case that, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I could imagine Sony using that and saying, look, everyone knows about it now, we demand even heavier damages, because the whole tech community are watching this case, and they are sticking up for this illegal hacker and whatever, and they're doing that to mock us, and because of him